Beginning the day the royal fleet landed. I was never supposed to be anywhere near the landing platform. Humans weren't allowed on the upper tiers of the capital city of Vishat, not unless they were diplomats or scientists, two things I definitely was not. I was just a maintenance worker, one of the hundreds assigned to keep the alien city's transport rails functioning. My job was simple: fix whatever was broken and avoid talking to people who outranked me. Which was everyone. But that morning, the supervisors sent us up to the upper tier because the magnetic conduits beneath the royal landing zone were malfunctioning. They needed them stable before the Vishar royal fleet arrived with their long-awaited princess. Princess Ryla. A name I'd only ever heard spoken with reverence and fear. The Vishar worshipped strength above all else, and their princess was a living legend. Some said she could silence a room with a single glance. Some said she could lift a transport shuttle by herself. Others whispered she was the most dangerous being ever born to the royal bloodline. No one mentioned she might also be curious about humans. Or that she'd sit beside one. Not yet. When we finished repairing the conduits, we were supposed to leave immediately. But before I could pack my tools, the sound of thrusters thundered across the sky. The supervisors blocked the stairways. No movement until the royal procession is complete, one barked. Eyes down, humans. You do not look at her. I obeyed. Not because I feared her, I feared losing my job. The atmosphere shifted. Hundreds of armored Vishar warriors filed in, forming two black lines from the landing pad to the inner gates. Their bodies glowed softly with bioluminescent markings, symbols of loyalty to the crown. Then the flagship descended like a silver blade cutting through the dawn. The ship was massive, twice the size of any human cruiser, with wings that shimmered like polished obsidian. When it touched down, the entire platform vibrated beneath us. A ramp extended. Every Vishar around me dropped to one knee. Everyone except me. Humans weren't told to kneel. We weren't considered important enough for ceremonial rules. So I stood there, hands behind my back, pretending to be invisible. The first to emerge was the High Commander. Then several ministers. Then the royal guards, tall as statues and armored in deep crimson. Finally she stepped out. Princess Ryla Vishar. I expected a towering warrior. A fearsome general. A hulking figure radiating dominance. Instead, she was graceful. Deadly, yes. Her aura pulsed with power. But she was elegant, tall, with silver-white hair braided down past her waist, and luminous markings across her cheekbones that flickered like stars. Her eyes glowed faintly violet, curious, sharp. She walked the path slowly, with calculated confidence. Every Vishar bowed deeper as she passed. But when she was only a few steps from the gates, she stopped. The entire procession froze. I dared lift my gaze, just for a second, and realized she was staring directly at me. At me. The only human standing. The only person not kneeling. The only one foolish enough to make eye contact with a princess. My heart stopped. Her lips curved, not in anger, but something like amusement. Then she turned, and began walking toward me. Gasps spread across the warriors. The commander whispered a curse. The ministers exchanged horrified looks. What is she doing? Why me? She reached me, stopped close, too close, and looked me over as though inspecting a relic. And then, while an entire empire knelt before her, she sat right beside me, on the cold metal rail where I'd left my toolkit. Silence. Absolute silence. Even the engines faded into the background. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft but commanding. You are the only one who remained standing, she said. You intrigue me, human. I swallowed hard. I was told not to kneel. Good. She smiled faintly. A spine is rare these days. She looked forward, ignoring the shocked crowd, and added quietly, "Walk with me." And just like that, my fate changed. Middle, the princess who broke protocol. The royal guards hated me immediately. 2 of them flanked me as Ryla led us into the palace, glaring with enough hostility to vaporize a starship. But Ryla ignored them entirely. She walked casually, hands behind her back, as though she'd simply chosen a random companion for a morning stroll. Inside the crystal hall, she finally spoke again. "What is your name?" "Jacob," I replied, trying not to stare at the glowing architecture surrounding us. "Jacob." She repeated it slowly, testing the sounds. "A simple name." "Sorry," I muttered, unsure whether I should bow. "Don't apologize," she said. "Your simplicity is refreshing." That didn't sound like a compliment, but coming from her, it felt like one. She moved toward the balcony overlooking the city. I followed awkwardly, aware that hundreds of eyes tracked my every step. Below, the capital stretched out like a living circuit board, bridges of light, towers of obsidian glass, transport rails glowing beneath. "I have studied humans," she said, resting her hands on the railing. "Your species adapts quickly. You endure. You survive." She glanced at me. "Do you consider yourself strong, Jacob?" "No," I said honestly. "I just fix things." That made her laugh, a quiet, surprising sound. "You fix the conduits beneath my landing zone. Without that, my ship would have crashed." She looked at me fully now. "Strength takes many forms." Before I could answer, the High Commander stormed in. "Princess, you cannot simply." She raised a hand. He froze. "I will speak with whomever I choose," she said calmly. "And right now, I choose him." "Him?" "Me. A maintenance worker." The commander bowed, jaw clenched. "As you wish." When he left, Ryla exhaled. "They suffocate me," she said quietly. "Protocol. Tradition. Expectations. You're their princess," I said. "Their empire depends on you." "Perhaps." Her voice softened. "But sometimes, I wish I could make a choice that is mine alone." She stepped closer. Too close. "Tell me, Jacob, did you feel fear when I approached you?" I could have lied. But I didn't. "Yes." "Yet you didn't run." "I couldn't," I said. "My legs wouldn't move." She smiled again, a slow, dangerous smile. "Good." Then she simply said, "Walk with me again tomorrow." I should have refused. I didn't. The days that followed. Each day after, she sought me out. Sometimes she'd find me working in the lower districts and insist I join her for a walk. Other times she'd summon me to the palace under the guise of technical advice, but all we'd do was talk. About human cities. Human meals. Human stories. About her life stuck behind layers of ceremony and duty. About power, freedom, and loneliness. No matter where she was, guards followed us at a distance, whispering constantly. Ministers disapproved. The commander openly glared at me. But Ryla didn't care. One afternoon, she brought me to the royal gardens, glowing plants and crystalline water flowing through floating channels. She sat on a bench and motioned for me to sit beside her. "Do you know why I chose you that day?" she asked. I shook my head. "You looked at me," she said simply. "Not with awe. Not with fear. You looked at me, like a person." I froze at that. She continued softly. "Everyone else sees a princess. A weapon. A future ruler. No one sees me." I didn't know what to say. So she leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "But you did." The incident. The backlash came sooner than I expected. One morning, guards arrived at my small dorm. "Human Jacob," the captain barked. "By order of the High Council, you are forbidden from interacting with the princess further." Before I could protest, they marched me to a chamber where the High Commander waited. "You are a distraction," he said coldly. "The princess must prepare for coronation, not entertain a human laborer. I never asked for. You will be reassigned to the outer districts," he continued, far from her sight. "They tried to put me on a transport immediately, but the doors exploded inward before they could force me inside." Princess Ryla strode in like a storm. Her eyes glowed fiercely. "Release him." "Princess," the commander said carefully, "for your protection. Do you presume to decide who I may speak to? It is improper. I am the Princess of Vishar." Her voice shook the room. Every guard dropped into a kneel. "Accept me, again." She approached, placed a hand on my shoulder, and turned to the commander. "If he leaves, I leave." The commander's face drained of color. "You would abandon your duties. If you remove him, you remove me," she said. "Is that your intention?" Silence. Finally, the commander bowed deeply. "Your will is law." And that was the moment I realized something had changed between us. Something deeper than curiosity. Something she wasn't allowed to feel. The confession. That night, she summoned me to one of the highest balconies of the palace. The sky glowed violet with storm clouds. The wind was warm. She stood alone, looking out at the city. "You should hate me," she said. "Because of me, you are now watched, restricted, judged." "I don't hate you," I said quietly. She turned, eyes searching my face. "You are different from anyone I've known." I laughed nervously. "I'm just a human." "And yet," she stepped closer, "I keep choosing you." Her hand brushed mine. "I should not feel this pull," she whispered. "I should not break protocols for you. I should not sit beside you in public, or search for you among crowds, or," she swallowed, "or think of you when I am meant to think of the Empire." I froze. She took a breath. "But I do." Her voice lowered. "Tell me, Jacob, do you feel it too?" I could lie. I could run. I could pretend this wasn't happening. But the truth slipped out before I could stop it. "Yes." Her eyes widened slightly, like she hadn't expected me to admit it. Then she smiled. Soft. Real. Good. Ending the day everything changed. The coronation day arrived. The grand hall filled with thousands. Warriors, nobles, ministers, everyone bowing as Ryla entered in full ceremonial armor, silver and violet, glowing like a star forged into a woman. I stood at the far back, far from attention, as tradition dictated. But when she reached the center of the hall, when the High Oracle lifted the crown to place it upon her head, she raised a hand. "I refuse." Gasps echoed. The Oracle faltered. "Princess. I will not be crowned," she said, voice ringing through the hall, "until I am allowed to live as more than a symbol." The council murmured in panic. The commander stepped forward. "Your responsibility." "My responsibility," she interrupted, "is to lead my people with truth. Not fear. Not constraints." Her eyes found mine across the hall. And without hesitation, she walked toward me. Every step she took was a scandal, a rebellion, a declaration. She reached me, stopping barely a breath away, and spoke loudly enough for the entire hall to hear. "I choose him." Silence. Then chaos. Councillors argued. Guards shouted. Ministers protested. But Ryla didn't move. She reached for my hand, ignoring every horrified gasp. "I chose to sit beside you once," she whispered. "And I choose to stay beside you now." I squeezed her hand gently. "Then I won't run," I said. A faint smile touched her lips. Good. Epilogue: a different kind of future. The coronation was delayed. Negotiations began. Traditions were rewritten. The empire was forced to confront the fact that their princess, unshakable, unstoppable Ryla, had chosen a human as her companion. They resisted. They debated. They protested. But Ryla refused to back down. And for the first time in generations, a Vishar ruler's choice came from the heart, not the council. As for me, I still fixed things. Only now, sometimes. I fixed them beside a princess. A princess who had walked past a kneeling empire. And sat beside a human.